So I've had a lot of questions over the last little while, both through private messages as well as some posts and comments on the Fit505. And now that we've had it for over a year, I can talk about some of the things that we are surprised about from the build quality and usage, and reiterate, really there's only one thing that I kind of hate on it. So I'll start with the thing that I don't like. And this was a preference between my wife and I, in the sense of what she wanted versus what I thought we would actually use. And to fairness to her, she does use it, but I think there are things that we could better utilize, both from the extra cost and from the usability component. And that comes down to the Smith machine. So the Smith machine adds the extra bracket on here, on both sides, obviously, so that the hooks can go in, as well as this Olympic bar. And then it also adds these slider poles in which this runs up and down. And the operation is relatively smooth. As you can hear, the bearings probably aren't the best, so it is a bit noisy, and it does have its own weight. I probably estimate that to be probably 40 pounds of weight, maybe a little bit more, because you just don't have the bar. You also have the brackets in which it slides on, as well as the hooks. We're not very tall. You can tell this is a relatively low ceiling. I believe it's 7 foot to the bottom of the beam, 7'4", 7'6". A lot of people have commented, "Oh, you had this upside down." Well, just can't have it right side up if we do a chin up and your head hits the ceiling. So this works well for us. It doesn't affect the structure at all. And for someone like us, like I'm flat-footed, I can reach this perfectly. I don't have to jump up and reach it. But having said all that, I hate this. I really hate this aspect of it, mainly because all the hooks in the back for handles and anything else that we use are in the back, as well as some of the plate weights. As you see now, I have to duck. There are times when you're working out really early in the morning that I don't duck, and I don't necessarily hit my head on this component of it. We always keep this pad in the middle for the shoulder, the back of the neck support, but it's on the sides. And sometimes I don't necessarily avoid this with my head. So this is, if I had the option, I would take it off. A couple of concerns are where the plates go on the back, there are these bars that stick out. Great in the sense of the option to be able to store your plates on there, but with the ones that we do have where we just keep, I think it's really just 10-pound plates is the heaviest we put on there. With that constant on and off of taking those plates, we could see over time that it's starting to loosen. We don't really put anything heavier on there than that. We do have a tree for any plates that are greater than 10 pounds. And I wouldn't advise putting anything on there that's more than 10 pounds if you're going to be using it on a regular basis, just because I don't feel it's going to hold up over time. Another complaint or wear and tear item is we stand on this side most of the time when we're doing sort of any sort of pull down exercises or single use, as opposed to when you're doing double the exercises are crossing over. And so just because this one isn't against the wall, we sort of tend to use this one. It's closer to some of the handles, double bar down, things of that nature. We face this one a lot. And as you can see, it's starting to, where the numbers have been cut out, it's starting to rust. And that's the moisture from our breath. So as part of the preventative maintenance, or to sort of hold off, staying off some of that continued rust, I do a wipe down with WD-40 once every couple of months. The only problem is some people will hold this to stretch out and forget that there's WD-40 on there. A lot of times, now that I'm where I'll hold on to the handles to do stretches, as opposed to the actual frame in which this collar slides up and down. The pulley system actually is really, really good. It's still pretty smooth. The wire itself is relatively flexible, and there's no kinks, and that's something you want to be concerned with over time. Is it kinking? Is it because it's sitting in this position a lot? Are there issues with it getting dent? So in some older Bowflex machines I've had in the past, where you've might have a pulley or you got the rods, when you get to a certain point, it'll be easier or harder because it's over time gets that bend from just a sitting position. Like I said, the pulley system is pretty good, and this one we use more than this one. Granted, we don't do a ton of weight on it. I think the most I've done is maybe 90 pounds, 100 pounds. And then it's not too frequent, but it seems to be holding up, and I don't foresee it not holding up over the next few years. It's still, from the original tightening, it's still pretty good. We've slid it around a bit compared to when the first video I put up. We didn't start the framing for the basement. We didn't have the floor. It was just basically puzzle mat on this. Now we've moved everything around to put a subfloor down to be more comfortable, a little bit more cushiony as well. Started the framing, and so it's been moved around a lot without having to retighten. And it's that from that aspect, it's held up pretty good. Other than that, I don't see any issues. Oh, there's some nice additives which I didn't realize, and maybe a lot of other machines have this. Is when we're adding plates for the pulley system, the bars are on a sort of a V, slight V. So therefore, when you put the plate on, if you're vigorous with your workout, you don't have to worry about that plate starting to work its way off that point. And what's nice about that, you don't need to add collars onto it. Right? Just gravity alone will hold that plate on there, or plates on there. You want to pair them off. If you put one plate on, this doesn't really reflect the true weight. You're doing resistance because of it's angling from one side to the other. So I'd always recommend, if you want to do 10 pounds, put 2 5-pound plates on there, for example. The only other, not really a concern, but more of an awareness, is when doing some exercises, this already has a weight to it. And for me, that's not an issue. I don't know what to equate its weight to. Maybe, I would say maybe 15 pounds in terms of balance. I would say that's probably reasonable, 15 pounds. Between 15 and 20. In terms of resistance, when there's no weight on it, and that's just the pulley. Probably the weight of the. It's not probably. It's the weight of the bracket. Even though you have this lever taking some of that weight off, you're going to get that resistance. And the reason I'm bringing this up, there are certain exercises where you want to do something for the back. As far as a warm-up, this is something that's on initial warm-up. When we first started out, my wife had a little bit of difficulty doing that until she built her strength up. So that's just more of an awareness. If it was only about a 5-pound, the pulley systems were set up so that this balanced or felt really light, that would probably be different. Or if this had like a counterbalance where you had the weight of this being just slightly less than that, so therefore this didn't add weight to it, then it would be fine. But at this price point, you can't expect a lot. And I think from a value perspective, we're getting a lot.